Happiness is the meaning and purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence, is a quote from the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle. If you look up the definition of happiness in the dictionary, it is a rather uninspiring the state of being happy. Researchers have defined happiness as having two components. Firstly, the experience of positive emotion, contentment, joy, or positive well-being. And secondly, satisfaction with your life, a sense that your life is good, meaningful, and worthwhile. Yet it is not reasonable to think that we can be happy all the time. We are human beings after all. Rather, that happiness is a direction of travel, a feeling that we try to cultivate. We need to recognise that it's okay not to feel okay, and that we will experience a range of emotions, and that sometimes these are negative. We need to make room for these and even welcome them in, and accept that they are part of what makes us human, rather than try to resist or bury them. I have enjoyed walking in the orchard close to my house for the past few years. It has become particularly important for my daily walk, and this year the orchard was a riot of blossom. Now the apple trees are being bulldozed to make way for the next purpose. I am sad, and I could dwell on my sadness, rail against the changes, ruminate on how it will affect my everyday, be angry with those removing those lovely trees. Or I could bring a different attitude to it, recognise that things change and be grateful. Grateful that I had the time to enjoy it. Grateful to the landowner for letting me and my neighbours walk there daily for all this time. Grateful for the people that I have met and the many experiences I have had, watching the kestrels hunting, deer grazing and the bees humming. By capturing these experiences through writing and photography, I have cemented those memories, and now it's time for things to change, time for a new chapter. Hi, my name's Jo Heath and I am Head of Countryside at Hampshire County Council. In this series of mini podcasts, I would like to introduce you to mindfulness, in particular the benefits that being mindful in nature can bring. At the beginning of these podcasts, I mentioned how my curiosity about productivity led me to mindfulness. Early on in my research, I watched the most excellent TED Talk of all time, in my opinion, by Shawn Achor, The Happy Secret to Better Work. Shawn Achor is a researcher and teacher in positive psychology who explains that our brains at positive perform significantly better than at negative, neutral or stressed. In fact, our brains are about 31% more productive, and he calls this the happiness advantage. His formula for happiness is pretty simple. 1 is to write down 3 new things a day that you are grateful for 21 days in a row. In that way, you start to build this positive habit and your brain focuses more on scanning the world for positive rather than negative experiences. Secondly, meditation, of course, spending more time in the present and managing stress through meditation and being mindful, and therefore being less distracted. Finally, with random and conscious acts of kindness. Being kind and compassionate for others not only makes them feel good, it makes us feel good too, and helps us to be kind and compassionate to ourselves. So we know that mindfulness, practiced regularly, can help us to gain that happiness advantage. Rather than an experiment this week, I invite you to think about one thing that you are going to do to bring mindfulness into your everyday life and to cultivate your future happiness. Alongside regular meditation practice and gratitude journaling, some ideas that you might like to think about are perhaps taking a pause during the day and noticing the signs around you. You could take a step outside and tune into whatever you can hear near and far. The wind in the trees, birdsong, insects, the distant rumble of traffic. Or you could go for a daily walk and make at least some of your walk a mindful one. What's important here is to go outside no matter what the weather. You could find a place in nature and just sit and observe, letting your thoughts drift like clouds in the sky. Or perhaps throughout the day, take a few moments to bring attention to your breathing. You can set a timer to remind you, and just take a few moments to recognise your breath and where you feel it in your body, and this will remind you to be present. Or you could notice your body whilst you walk or stand. Take a moment to notice your posture. Pay attention to the contact of the ground under your feet. Feel the air on your face, arms and legs as you walk or stand. Another idea is perhaps revisiting some of the podcasts in this series or trying some of the others. There are lots out there to choose from. Finally, I would like to thank you so much for joining me on this journey of mindfulness discovery. And I'd like to leave you with this final quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. What lies behind you and what lies in front of you pales in comparison to what lies inside of you.